if they think I'm going to teach a lesson and you do a quiz, like, you're supposed to have as long as you need on a quiz. I do not want to rush you on a quiz. We are not going to do ACT prep today. I'm hoping tomorrow everyone will finish their quiz quickly, and we will. If not, then we're going to go ACT prep crazy on Friday. Because Discrete is kicking your ACT prep tail. Because they get to do it every day, but they're special. So, special in their own way. Yesterday, I don't remember how we got behind. I do, because we started the checkpoint late 2 days ago. Anyway, Domino. So all the other class periods got further on this than you did, which is fine. It happens. They had homework, and it was 10 problems. And I'm just going to give y'all 10 points for it. I'm going to post the key on Google Classroom. I'm going to assume that Lyric's actually going to look at it and know what the crap Lyric's doing. It does make the checkpoint in case Lyric is lying to me. Ha ha ha. But I'm going to give automatically everyone 10 points for this homework assignment. So let's go through the notes for it quickly. And then I'm telling you, you were supposed to, you didn't get to, because we didn't finish the notes, as Xavier pointed out. I was hoping you would have enough time yesterday, and we didn't, to do 1 through 10 on page 11. It says 11 down at the bottom. I'm going to just give you points for it. I'm going to post the key to it as well. Okay, I'm being super nice today. Don't take it for granted. Yesterday we were talking about fancy sentences, how to go verbal to an algebraic expression and vice versa. And we were talking about how I tend to write a fancy sentence. So you can bet on my key tonight, it's going to be a fancy sentence. So I'm probably going to write something like the product of 5 times, I can see me now, the product of 5 times a number minus a number cubed is 12. I can see me being fancy, because I am fancy. I'm a math teacher. I know product means the same thing as multiplication. Am I going to get mad at, I don't know who I'm mad at today. Am I going to get mad at I'm going to get mad at Travis. I'm going to get mad at Travis because he put 5 times a number minus a number cubed equals 12. No, I'm not going to get mad at Travis. It's his sentences aren't as fancy as me. This is not English class. As long as his sentences say the right words, as long as he puts product or times and not the word quotient, because that means division, or not straight up the word division, because this is not a division problem. As long as his math terms are correct, I cannot get mad at him for not using fancy English. Okay, for instance, I'm going to skip number 7, because that, like I said, we're running low on time already today. I'm going to go to number 8. I don't care if he writes the product of 6 and in fact, I do care if he writes this. Don't write this. Don't write this. I see your pencil moving. Stop writing. I've stopped writing. I see it. Stop writing. I like that erasing. The product of 6 and a number minus 2 is 14. Miss Thompson was in a hurry, and she wrote this. What is wrong with what she wrote?
It kind of makes it sound like it's 6 plus something minus 2.
That's what it sounds like, right? Do you see why that's wrong? So I got to be more careful with my words. I might want to write I might want to stick with the parentheses part first. You can write now. You can pick that pencil back up. Maybe I would write, again, I'm being fancy. The difference of a number and 2 multiplied, can I not spell today? Multiplied by 6 is 14. Now that one sounds a little better because I'm saying the difference of a number and 2. So I'm saying a number minus 2 multiplied by 6 is 14. So finally I'm looking more like, I should have used n because my problem had an n, but finally I'm looking more like what my problem was given. And you're like, Miss Compton, that's a little tricky. Well, we skipped the top, and I swear the top is easier. It's easier to go from verbal to algebraic than it is from algebraic to verbal. Okay, so let's go to the top 4. Let's go to the top 4. The first one says the difference between the product of 4 and a number squared is 6. Well, anytime you see the phrase a number, you know to put what? X. And when you see the word difference, what operation does that mean? Subtraction. And then when you see the word product, it means multiplication. So if we read this sentence again, I'm going to stick with the smaller part. The product of 4 and a number squared. So 4, a number squared. A number, yeah, because when they say a number, you know it's supposed to be x or n or some variable. So on every single problem, a number, I mean x, a number, I mean x, a number, I mean x. That's a good question. You can have a point. Okay, so I've got the product of 4 and a number squared. Everyone cool with product of 4 and a number squared? I feel like we've answered that. The part we haven't answered is the difference between and 6. So I know there's a 6. What am I supposed to put in between them? A minus sign because it's subtraction. Again, I think it's way easier to go from the words to the actual equation than it is from the equation to the words. Okay, and the next one says 2 more than. So what does more than mean? Okay, so 2 plus. So 2 more than 4 times the cube of a number. So I know there's an x, but where do I put the cube? Do I put it on the 4 or on the x? On the x. Everybody can have a point. Are there any questions on 2? Any questions on 2? We're going through these kind of fast. I don't mind questions. Okay, number 3 says 3 times the difference of a number and 8. Table 6 gets a point. He's completely right. When I thought that, maybe not, I have to think it through. So 3 times the difference. Difference, I know I mean subtraction, of a number and 8. So I knew there was an x minus 8. But he's right. You got to put it in parentheses because it's 3 times the whole thing. They made it sound like it was 3 times the whole difference. So that's why he knew to put it in parentheses. That was really smart of him. I'm impressed. Okay, and then the last one I think is tricky as well. So I would love for help on it. I know. I'll give you this. A number cubed means x cubed. And I know 15 less than means I'm going to do a minus 15. Okay, it is that. Table 6, you can get another point. So 15 less than, you're good with the minus 15. A number cubed, you're with x cubed. How did he know to do the divided by 4? Again, the word quotient and 4 is how he figured out it was x cubed divided by 4. Do I think you need practice with these? Absolutely. Am I going to recommend you do page 11, number 1 through 10? Absolutely. Am I going to give you 10 points for it anyway? Yes, I am. Am I going to post the key to it as well? Yes, I am. You're going to say I'm so sweet, and again, on my key, you know I'm going to use all my fancy words. And you're going to be like, I'm not fancy, Miss Compton. I'm 9 times x squared. That is me. I'm going to write it just like that, and that's fine. You do not have to do 9 times the product of. You do not have to be fancy. However, while you don't have to be fancy, you got to be able to read fancy. Okay, we are going to move on to the next page. And I promise you, buddy, we are going to fly. There are some steps at the top on how to solve an equation, but let's face it, you already know how to solve an equation. We might reference these steps in a second, but for now, you got this. What's the first thing I'm supposed to do when I solve an equation? And that's what this first step says. On number 1 specifically, what am I going to do? I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Table 3 gets the point. So I've got negative 6y equals 24. What is my final answer?
4.
I don't know who said it, so I'm going to hold it in. You said 4, but I didn't hear the negative part. I really think it was 6, but I'm not going to give it to them because they got a lot of points going, so we're going to figure it out. Oh, totally table 1. You want points? Go ahead and solve the next one and tell me the next answer.
So we don't get a point?
No! Solve the next one, tell me the next answer. Alright. Anyway, Travis, table 2 gets the point. Okay, so, and I'm willing to give points for all. You know I am. So back to the math part of life. I would have on number 2. Or were there any questions on number 1? You have a question on number 1? I know you do. Travis already said it. Okay, I appreciate your help on number 1. But I forgot to say keywords because I got caught up in the point madness as well. What should we have done when we were completely done on number 1? Well, yeah, I like that you box it in. That does help make my life easier. I'll give you that. You can have the point for that. Okay, I would love it if you checked. Again, I'm trying to give you the entire period to work on a 15-question quiz because I want Lyric to know she's right on each problem. How does Lyric know? She plugs in her answer and checks herself. Now, she might do it in her head. For instance, right here, negative 6 times negative 4, well, that's positive 24. Positive 24 minus 8 is positive 16. I checked it in my head. I know I'm right. If Lyric actually wants to write her check on her paper, it's a great idea. She's got plenty of time. Every single problem that she can, she ought to check herself. Okay, on number 2, you do not have to start off like me. It is okay. You had a question. Yes, ma'am. Okay. On number 2, it is okay if you don't start off like me. It is okay if you subtracted 12 first or added 20. You do not have to be my twin. This is just how I would do it. You don't have to be me. I would have subtracted 5p. I would have had 12 equals 4p minus 20. I would have added 20 to both sides. I would have had 4p is 32, 20. So I would have 32 equals 4p. And then when I divide by 4, I would have p equals 8. I completely agree with that. And then because I like my A, I would plug in 8 and make sure I had everything correct. Now what I want to say here is shocking to you, especially since a lot of people were jumping at it the whole time they were doing it. And I know that Table 3 is going to be especially excited about this because I can tell they're going to like what I say. You do not have to, no, okay, keep on dreaming. You do not have to write every step you've ever done for me. In Algebra 1, your teacher wanted you, for instance, to write where you divided by 4. It is okay with me if Lyric has 32 equals 4p and she goes straight to 8 equals p, or p equals 8, however she wrote it. She does not actually have to write the step where she divides by 4. She does not have to show every single one of her steps in Algebra 2 a trig. I get she does some math in her head. She does not have to show every single step on paper. If she wants to, she can. But I'm saying, like, time management wise, like, I understand you knew 32 divided by 4 was 8. Did you have to actually write it out? No. Just so you know. Okay, we are going to work number 3 and 4 and 6. We're going to skip 5. If you're wanting to work 5 later for fun, kicks and giggles, 5, the answer actually is x equals negative 6. We're just low on time. I figured you would. You can have your point. Okay, so Travis is on it and he's working ahead, which is fine. I'm assuming he knows what he's doing. Let's pray he does. So if you distribute that 0.5, you get 0.5c plus 1.4 minus c equals 0.6c plus 0.3. What is my next step? So I distributed. What is my next step after this? Yes, table 3 can have a point. It's smart to combine our like terms. Before we go crazy, why don't we go ahead and combine those C's on that left-hand side? If we do, we'll have negative 0.5C plus 1.4 equals 0.6C plus 0.3. Is there anyone who is lost here? Okay, from here, what do you think we should do? Add what?
0.5.
Okay, if we add 0.5 to both sides, and if you did a different step, you could. I'm just doing what Lyric said. I could have solved it differently from here. I end up with 1.4 equals 1.41C plus 0.3. If I subtract 0.3, I end up with 1.1 equals 1.1C. And I had one sweet child that had me first period and said that means C equals 0. If you actually need to write it out and type 1.1 divided by 1.1 in your calculator, you sure can. I knew from here that C equaled 1. Are there any questions on number 3? Okay. I know you already know the answer to number 4. I know you do. Save it inside. I'll give you your point in a second for it. You'll help me with something else, I know. Okay. See, he already worked number 4, but he doesn't, I don't know if he's a genius or if he already knew what to do. What we've been doing lately was we would get everyone the same denominator and then solve. But Abby Grace read through step 1. What did step 1 say? Eliminate any fractions. So instead of keeping the fractions, let's get rid of them. And by get rid of them, I don't mean let's turn them all to decimals. I mean let's multiply by some number that's going to kill off all of the fractions. What number can kill off all the fractions in this problem? Table 6, get a point. Okay, so why would you multiply by 12? Well, we're trying to think of a pretty big number that 2, 3, and 4 will go into. 2, 3, and 4 will go into. You wanted to go with 9, but hey, 2 doesn't go into 9, neither does 4. Or you might have wanted to go with, I don't know, 16, but 3 doesn't go into 16. So we're going to go with 12. Okay, you do not have to write this line if you don't need it. I'm going to write it for those of us that need it. So if I multiply everyone by 12, I'm going to have 12 over 2z plus 12 over 4 plus 12 over 3z plus 60 over 4. Because 5 times 12 is 60. Yes, you have a point for that. Okay, but you don't actually have to write this line if you're able to simplify fractions in your head, because you already knew what was going to happen, because that's why you multiplied by 12, so all the fractions would go away. So if you don't need this line, you don't have to write it. How should the next line read? 6z plus 3, and then what?
4z
plus 15. It should be 15. 60 divided by 4 should be 15. 1 and 3 can have a point. Travis, is this how you solved it? Yeah, so Travis has learned life would probably be easier if step 1, get rid of all the fractions. You don't have to. Whatever, Travis. Still on my joy. Whatever. So I subtracted 4z from both sides. I have 2z plus 3 equals 15. Subtract 3 and I get 2z equals 12. So I end up getting z equals 6. Now I'm still writing out all my steps, but I think there are some people in the room who still need me to write out all my steps. Again, you don't have to. I get he knew 15 minus 3 was 12. He knew 12 divided by 2 was 6. He does not have to show all the work of all the steps ever. Are there any questions on 5? On number 6, again, I see a fraction. Yes, I heard it from 4 and 3. And I kind of heard it from 6. Every group can have a point, I'm telling you. So if I multiply by 4 on both sides, everybody's going to get multiplied by 4. I know 5 times 4 is 20. On the left, what should I end up with?
4x plus 12.
Travis, you can give your group a point. Travis can give his group a point. Table 2 got the point. Okay, so the whole point was of multiplying by 4 was so the fraction would go away. That's in the numerator, that's in the denominator. We really just have x plus 3 equals 20. But if you don't see it and you need to write it, you can. We have 4 times x plus 3. Don't distribute. Don't do it, Mason. Just let it be. And it's all divided by 4. Correct? You agree with that blue line? But don't the 4's cancel out? And that's why Travis was already jumping to x plus 3 equals 20. You subtract 3 and you get x equals 17. You won't so much. Are there any questions on number 6? Then flip to the back. Or the next page, whatever you want to say. We're going to skip number 7 because I just don't have time for all the fractions right now. The answer is c equals -3. Number 8 we are going to work, and we are going to do so quickly. In fact, I normally was letting the other classes steal my joy, but I'm going to get my joy this time, so haha. If I distribute that -4, I have r minus 8 minus 4r. I combine those like terms on the right. I have 7 minus 3r equals -3r minus 8. Does anyone from here, no more math done, know what the answer is?
No, it's not. 0. It's a 0.
Okay, well, use English with me, though.
I don't know. I know it looks like that.
Table 2 can get the point.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew from here that it was going to be no solution. If you know that, how do I know that? Because I can see the 3r's, the -3r, the -3 on both sides. 7 doesn't equal -8. If you don't see that, not a big deal. Keep going. Add 3r to both sides. Oh no, the r's have canceled out. I now have 7 equals -8. Is that a true statement? No. And that is why the answer is no solution. I do not mind the one who knew that it was the empty set, the 0 with a line through it. I don't mind that. But hey, in order to trig, words of no solution is completely sufficient. Okay, if I did number 8 as no solution, what do you assume is going to be the deal with number 9?
It's -7.
Whatever the other one means, that's like.
Table 3 can get the point. Okay, the opposite of no solution is all the solutions. We're going to have all answers, all real numbers are going to be our options. So, on number 9, if I distribute that 5, I've got 5h minus 7 equals 5h minus 10 plus 3. If I combine those two like terms, I've got 5h minus 7 equals 5h minus 7. Anytime you see twins like that, they're the same on the left and right, that's when I know it's going to be in all real numbers. But if you want to keep going, you can. You can cancel out those 5h's, and you can end up having -7 equals -7. If that makes your heart happy, you can. Now, we are going to say all real numbers, but we're not actually, I'm going to write it here, but there's a symbol for that. Anyone remember the symbol? Table 3 can get the point. We just went through number systems. We just talked about real numbers were the R, the capital R with the line through it thing. So yes, you can put in words all real numbers, or Hey, fancy people, you just learned about number systems. You know real numbers is the R. Why not put the R? Okay. Are there any questions on solving the equation? Okay. Now we're actually going to solve the equation for the specific variable, which is terribly annoying because we just rearranged the equation. Nothing's going to go away. We're just going to solve for a different letter. So, like, for instance, on number 1, it's set up now where Z is solved for. Z equals all the other stuff. And they want us to rearrange it so it's H equals all the other stuff. So if we were to work number 1, I was going to skip it. We can work it. What do I need to do to get H all by itself? Divide by PQ to the third, right? That's what's bothering H. So Z divided by PQ to the third is going to equal H. Miss Compton, what on earth are you doing? I divided by everyone that was bothering H. Pi and Q to the third were bothering H, so I divided by them on both sides. And even though that doesn't look like much of an answer, it is the answer because we have solved the equation for H, because we have H equals all the other stuff. Okay, on number 2, we have this long equation, and they want us to solve for A. What do we need to do to get A by itself? Okay, I've got to get rid of BX and C. How do I get rid of BX and C? I'm going to need to subtract BX, and I'm going to need to subtract C. I'm going to need to do it from both sides. So I'm going to have Y minus BX minus C equals AX squared. I subtracted the BX, I subtracted the C. I moved the BX and the C over to the other side of the equation. That way A could have his space. Now I see AX squared. What's bothering A? X squared. So how do I get rid of X squared? I need to divide both sides by X squared. I can tell table 3, it just is what it is. I can tell table 3 is like me and they show as little work as possible. If they want to circle their answer from here, I totally got that A equals that. But the girls in the room, we tend to be overachievers. It tends to be a girl thing. I don't know why. So if you need to write, again, a whole separate line of this, you can. But if you totally understand that's what I already had right there, then that's fine too. Okay, are there any questions on 2? Number 3, same sort of thing. Given some weirdo equation, we need to solve for A. What's the first thing we could do to solve for A? You know, you're the first person all day to say add D, which would make so much more sense. Everyone else has said distribute, and I've distributed first all day long. But let's add D first. I like it. I mean, I think that's the easiest thing. The people who distribute first are going to end up with the exact same answer, so don't worry. I just like that we were being different. So I added D to both sides. I have C, A plus B equals F plus D. Are there any questions on that line? Okay, I don't have A by itself. So I just agree with my distributors now. Let's distribute. Are we being picky with our alphabet today? Oh, I heard a yes. Okay. If we're being picky with our alphabet, then I'm going to write AC plus BC. If you're being not picky, I wasn't picky any other class period. I got some picky people in here. If you had CA plus CB, it means the same thing. You do not have to be my twin. So if you have your letters in a different order, you're good to go. Okay, A is not by itself. So we have to subtract BC from both sides. So I have, yes, dear. I have AC equals F plus D minus BC. And then since Abby Grace is being picky with her alphabet, she probably wants to rearrange this. She probably wants to have AC equals negative BC plus D plus F because she wants it in alphabet order. Whereas you and I, we're just not really caring anymore. Okay, is A by itself? A is all by itself? No, we've got to divide both sides by C. So I have A equals F plus D minus BC all divided by C. and you're like, Miss Thompson, that looks like a hot mess. And to be honest, it does. When you solve for a different letter, you still have a hot mess equation at the end. It's just, as long as you have the letter all by itself equal to all the other stuff, and as long as Lyric doesn't break any rules of math, she's good to go. Okay, now for the next thing, before I move on, let me tell you about if you want to be extra. I can tell Travis is very smart, so if he wants to be, I'm going to call it extra, he can be. You could further simplify this, because the C in that third term and the denominator, you can make that a separate fraction, and your final answer would be F plus D divided by C minus B. You don't have to be extra. That is completely fine. But if you want to put the first two terms in the one fraction, the third term you realize the C's cancel out, you just have minus B, you can. Okay, moving on. I heard you already flipped, so let's move on. I was impressed with how fast you're wanting to go. Let's go. Okay, let's see. I'd say we can skip it, but I want to know we can do it. So what am I supposed to do on number 4? Subtract x. So I have 2/5 y equals z minus x. Is y by itself? No. How can I get y by itself? Multiply by what? Say it. Anyone know the word I'm looking for? Table 1 gets the point. Table 6, did you say it too? You can have the point. I knew there was someone else out there. Okay, so you can multiply both sides by the reciprocal. What you're going to do when he was going to multiply by 5, and it will eventually work, but this is going to save him so much more time. If you have a fraction, multiply by the flipped fraction, the reciprocal. So the 2's cancel out, the 5's cancel out, and lo and behold, you just have y. And then on the right, you have 5/2 z minus x. Now, again, if Travis wants to be extra, I'm just going to pick on Travis because he doesn't mind. I can distribute that 5/2 if I want to, but do I have to?
Nope.
No, because I have y equals. I've already got y by itself. I'm technically done here. Might drop whole 9 yards. Okay, and the last one from this lovely, lovely section, not that we're not doing the rest, I just meant the last one from solving weirdo equations, has something with a b, and we need to solve for y. What's the first thing I can do? If I multiply everyone by 2, I will have, the 2's will cancel out. I'll have x plus y equals 2b. I got to subtract x from both sides. I'll have y equals 2b minus x. Woohoo. Are there any questions on that one? Okay, and then there's good news and there's good news. We are going to do the absolute value ones. We are going to skip number 3. We are going to skip number 4. I will give you those answers shortly, but before I get ahead of myself, with an absolute value problem, how many answers do you normally expect? Lyric, you can get a point. Abs, val, normally has 2 answers. Can anyone in English explain why? Agreed with both of you. 2 and 6 can get a point. Those darn bars make everyone positive, right? Everyone's positive. So we really don't know, since we have 9 equals something, we don't know if what was inside the bars was a positive 9, or what was inside the bars could have been a negative 9, because the bars make it positive. So we've got to have 2 answers. So I like to have 2 different options. So we've got to consider, is the inside equal to a positive 9, or was the inside equal to a negative 9 and the bars just made it positive? Okay, so what are my 2 answers then? And 6 can get a point. Okay, so if you subtract 5 from both sides, you'll have d equals 4. If you subtract 5 from both sides here, you'll have d equals negative 14. we have two answers. We have two answers. Does everyone understand why there are two answers?
Oh, so we have 1, 4 plus 5.
And then you can plug it back in. 4 plus 5 absolute is 9. Absolute value of 9 is 9. If you plug in negative 14, negative 14 plus 5 is negative 9. Absolute value of negative 9 is positive 9. He is completely correct. You should plug it back in and check. Okay, we are going to work number 2. We want the absolute value to be all by itself before we start considering those two scenarios. Is the absolute value all by itself in number 2? No, we've got that 3. How do we get rid of the 3?
You distribute.
Let's not distribute inside the absolute value bars. How can I get rid of that 3? Let's divide. Thank you, 6. You can have the point. Okay, so I actually have 2a minus 4 equals 0 because I divided both sides by 3. And now I can consider my two cases because I have absolute value bar all by itself, number on the right. So my two cases, I have 2a minus 4 equals 0, and then I have 2a minus 4 equals negative 0, which is not a thing.
0 has no value.
So 0, there is no such thing as negative 0. So I just said that most normally has two answers. But because the specific thing was 0 on the right, and there's no such thing as negative 0, we're actually not going to have that second answer for this specific problem. Okay, so I add 4, I get 2a equals 4, so a equals 2. Again, this problem had only one answer, but the reason was because of darn 0. 0 is special. It's not positive and negative. So since there's no such thing as negative 0, we only ended up with one answer. Okay, let's go to number 5. What's the first thing I should do on number 5? I'm actually going to subtract 8 first. So I've got 2 absolute value 3x minus 4 equals negative 2. Then what do I do next? If I divide both sides by 2, I've got absolute value 3x minus 4 equals negative 1. Now what do I do? Okay, so Lyric wants to do case 1 and case 2. So 3x minus 4 equals negative 1. 3x minus 4 equals positive 1. And normally Lyric is correct. However, Lyric is incorrect this time. Table 3. Please save the day. An absolute value cannot equal a negative number. So the real answer is 3 and 6 and 2 can get a point. And 4. If your group is not at least at 5, move your group up to 5 because everyone's had a good day. Okay, Lyric was incorrect, and let's remind, Lyric's like me. She's a pattern person. She knew what the pattern was after that. This stuff, no matter what you do, once you apply the bars, it's going to be positive. There's no way this thing could equal that negative number. Never going to happen. Never, ever going to happen. Okay. I'm going to do something I never do because I am low on time and I do want you to feel prepared. Where are you, Tess? Come to my hands now. I'm going to actually put it under the screen and show you. Where are you, Tess? Come to me now. There you are. Okay. On the test tomorrow, the quiz tomorrow, I'm going to say it's 100 points in the 30% category. Sarah Edwards. Run like the wind. Okay. Sorry, Sarah. You know I got carried away with my life. Okay. The first 5 are on classifying a number. The next 2 are on plugging in values. Actually plugging in values and solving. There are 2 that are straight up just simplify me. And then, of course, there are 5 solve the equation. The bad news is that there is one absolute value on the solve the equation. And the worst news is there is one where you actually have to solve for a specific variable. And then Lyric's even sadder because last night she got out of homework. And then tonight I need her to do the odds. And I need her to check this checkpoint. Here, let me see in the front somewhere. Right there. I'll be there.
See you, Sarah.
So for you, you had no homework last night. I need you to do some odds tonight. Annie, did I mention that if you do extra on the odds, I'll give you bonus? So tonight you're supposed to do 1 through 15. The odds only. But if you want to be an overachiever and do them all, I give you bonus for it. I'm a bonus person. I'm out that Oh yes, can I not show you that is the top one? The top one on the odds only. But if Travis realizes, hey, I stink at absolute value, then hey, there are absolute value ones down at the bottom. Maybe he should practice this. Just a thought. Travis knows his own mind. He knows when he needs to practice. If he only needs to practice those 6, he does not have to do bonus if he doesn't want to. I swear, I think his grade will be okay.